This is awesome. This is one of our absolute most secret weapons. This is the blackberry leaf. In Florida, these grow out in the wild. They're full sun, extremely hardy. These aren't cultivated, they're not fertilized, but look how beautiful these leaves are. 2,000 years ago, the Roman doctor, the head surgeon, recommended that the Roman legions chew these. They didn't realize at the time why it fortified the bodies, but he insisted they do it. Now, today, we know that the vitamin C, which is extremely high, and the vitamin B is essential to your body. But if you look at this leaf, how healthy it is. Once again, look at this plant. Now here's the berry. This is the flower. When this flower blooms, it's going to attract, much like the elderberry, it's going to attract the bees. And that's why, we'll talk about our honey later. We have about 1,000 hives we have collecting this type of honey from these plants. But again, this is a plant. Look how gorgeous this is. There's no insects, there's no bugs, this plant is able to look after itself. But this leaf, if you're out in the wild, there's little barbs on this side, and what you have to make sure you do is you fold it over like this. I don't know if you can pick those up, but you fold this over and you just put it in your gum and you chew it. Unbelievable. It's actually not a bad taste, but we use these in our teas. We also use rose hips that we collect, but to me, this is, for centuries, true herbalists really understand the relationship of using this leaf with the elderberry flower, and then also we grow our own mint. We grow in our towers that we created mint. So when you mix those 3 units in, and then you put the other 4th ingredient, which is our secret ingredient, in there, you have a tea for fighting colds and flus. It's unbelievable. I suggest 2 cups a day for about 10-day regimen. You can drink this every day by itself. It's a good tea for fortifying, but what we really believe is that by taking all these ingredients and putting them together and having an intensive for about 10 days, it really will almost knock anything out of you. I'm 58 years old and I rarely get sick. And I just think it's the association of, the herbs we take, the teas we drink, and everybody knows that certain things are good for you. What we're doing isn't rocket science, but you got to think about something. Once again, in North America, we're in Florida, and we're in the growing capital of Florida, in the Belle Glade, Clewiston area. We're right in the ridge of that sand ridge. Right now, this is blooming. We're the first people in the eastern seaboard that really can collect this. It's not available in North Carolina or Georgia. So people always go, what difference does your teas make? Well, because we have such a long growing season, we have grass all year round. I have this green grass. I'm in March. We had 1/8 of an inch of rain. This is a record. It's either the #1 or the 2nd driest March on history. And as the climate change happens, but here's this plant. This plant by itself is able to survive. This is right about 12 o'clock. If people pick, they always say, why do you always pick later in the day? Because, when you grow a tomato and you pick a tomato at about 1 o'clock, that's when the sugars are at the highest levels. And what I like about this particular, when I'm harvesting the leaves, is at this time of day, there's no moisture on here. If I pick this early, like typical people that are commercial farmers, they'll have their guys go out and their pickers will go out at 7 o'clock in the morning because it's cool, because they're thinking about themselves. And as they're picking, you have that moisture on the leaves from the dew in the morning. And that might not be in all of them, but it gets in a big percentage. And the little things make a difference. It's like winning a baseball game, Every little thing makes a difference in a baseball game, and that's why people win championships, because all those things add up. So if we were to pick this in the morning and then pick some at 12 o'clock and mold got on here, it wouldn't be as effective, And what we're doing is we're picking, I always look at, whenever I harvest anything, what would I give my family? I have a niece that's living in California right now, and she's scared. She lives in an apartment building. She moved there, and she didn't know what to do. And I sent her my tea kits, and I didn't go and pick a special tea kit. I took one of our virus tea kits off the shelf. We usually keep about 1,000 of them in inventory, and I just picked any one up because I knew they were all equal. If my wife wanted one, I would give the same thing, because we put love into everything we do, but we pick at certain times. We always harvest. In this place, when you come here at an evening, all you hear are the frogs. This is a healthy, unique place. We don't ever use pesticides or herbicides. I have cattle, and people always talk about mowing grass and this and that. If you really watch a cow will eat the weeds. It'll eat this and that. A cow knows what it wants to eat, you know. And like if you look at plants and you let them naturally survive, if this is a weak plant, it would be dead. This is heat, no rain, no care, and look how beautiful these leaves are. So what we're going to do is, you know, we harvest these, and I'll pick about 50 pounds a day of these, and I take these, and when we dryer, this is so important, I went and bought these commercial dryers. And then I thought, you know, I'm going to get bigger. I'm going to buy bigger commercial dryers. And literally, we spend thousands of dollars. We have these big commercial dryers that you can go ahead and you can put these leaves in our elderberries, and within hours you can dry something. You turn the temperature up. But as we started tasting them and we started looking at the tannins and what was left, we realized that that's not the right way to do it. So all that money we spent is kind of a waste because they just sit there collecting dust. What we do now is we get screens, and anybody can do this at home. If you don't have anything like a big commercial area and it's just your family, a really good thing to do, you can take your family out, you can collect these things, and just put them in paper bags. You put them in paper bags and punch holes in them and hang them. Great way to dry herbs. But what we do is we have screens that we have made up like you would have on a window, and we have a racking system. We have it is really important to be in a totally shade area. But we put these in the shade area and we let them air dry. And the beauty about that is it happens slowly. And I learned that because we grow our own mint. And I harvest every year about maybe 2,000 pounds of mint, which is a lot. I mean, that's 1 U.S. ton. And when I do the mint, I use our machines to dry it, and I start drying them by air like I was talking about. And I used to get mint from all these other #1, I mean, and we get some products from other companies. You know, they're good companies. And we get them from them, and they're organic certified and kosher certified, and you know they're good products. But when you take our mint out of our bag, and you take their mint out, and you smell it, the freshness is evident. I mean, it's unbelievable the difference. And I really think it's in the drying process, because if you're a big corporation, and one of the companies we deal with, they sent me some information the other day, and they private label and brand, and I mean they're a really good company to buy. I buy bulk from them. But they have a 50,000 square foot warehouse. You know, our entire facility, we have a lot of land, but we have about 1,800 square feet is our total processing area. And then we have a warehouse. It's about, you know, another 1,200 square feet, because we don't keep a lot of inventory, we move stuff. And everything we do is small batch and hand done, and we just think that's important. You know, a lot of people ask about my tea bags. They go, look at your bags, why don't you use a machine? And it's kind of funny because my partner, as we started doing this, is, you know, we got these dryers, we got to get a tea machine. And it came in. I used that tea machine for maybe about an hour. I turned it off, and I know it can do 2,000 bags a minute or whatever. I don't even know what it does, to be honest. And we have this whole room full of these bags. You know, they're rolls, but it just, you know, when you hand do something with love and you hand pack it, I would much rather do that because the quality is better. And when you're putting things in a big bin and it's just going ba-boom, 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 like a Lipton Tea Company, and that's a good company, I drink that tea, I'm not harping on them. But when you're doing something in that massive production, your hands aren't there, you're not watching it, you're not seeing it, you know what I mean? And our quality is huge. We might be a little bit more money than other people, but it's kind of like if you go to a market and you pick a fresh apple off a tree, or you go to a grocery store where that apple came in, and you know, when they pick an apple, they wax them, they put them in what they call a sleep mode. It's a chilled warehouse, and a lot of apples we buy at the grocery store are 6 months to a year old. If you pick an apple off a tree, it's instantly bioavailable. You know, we're one of the few people that grow asparagus in Florida, and we do it in raised beds. I've got about 15 beds of it, and your body craves it. If you take that fresh asparagus and you put in your mouth, it is unbelievable how you're driven to that area because your body is telling you you need it. It wants it. It just makes you happy. And like I said, what we try to do is everything fresh. So what we would do is we would pick these leaves. The moment we pick them, you know, we do small batches. We probably pick 20 or 30 pounds, up to 50 pounds on a really good day we'd pick. We put it in our drying racks, we air dry it, and these leaves will dry for about, 8-9 days in our rack. And I don't really believe in solar heat and all that. A lot of guys do that, and that's a real good way to do it. I do have a fan moving the air, and it's a hot room because we have this natural sun. The roof's painted black, And you know, the heat always can, but it's enough. But if you're at home and you want to dry something, and you have a gas stove, for instance, you can just prop the door. The pilot light will dry things nicely for you. If you're at home and you have an electric oven, you know, you can do the same thing. You can just leave the light on in the oven. The heat will create enough to do that, and just leave the door propped a little bit, maybe about a ½ inch, and it'll do the same thing. But again, it's the little things that make a difference. And people always say you get really great results from your teas, Greg, you know, and that, you know, Brian hears from people all the time as my partner, and they're saying, you know, your stuff's just really working. But I just really believe it's just the little things, and just the quality. We always try to be excellent in everything we do. If we're packing something, if we're putting it in a tea bag, whatever we do, we try to be excellent. And if you try to reach that excellence and you do it over and over again, you have a nice little company. And we're not about being some big, huge corporation. We just want to try to help people at this point, you know. I really, when this happened with the virus, and you saw the people it's affecting, and I thought about the people that are in a small little apartment, and I think it's such a cool thing that I can harvest these leaves today and elderberries yesterday, and I can dry them, and I can take the mint that I just grew, and I can put that with the potentilla, and I can make a tea out of that. And within 7 days from now, they're going to have, this is going to be in a tea in a bag in some apartment on the 8th floor or 30th floor in New York or LA or Chicago or wherever. And they can have all this goodness from here. And when they get that tea, and I can't guarantee this, but I pretty much promise you, I know a lot of people that do what we do or care like we do, but if they're having a tea that has the same ingredients, which I doubt, but if they do find a tea of the same ingredients, I can pretty much guarantee it's not as fresh as what they're getting from us. And again, it's a simple question. Would you rather get your vegetables fresh at the market that were picked that morning and serve them, or would you want to have corn out of a can? And anytime that you have something that is packaged, anytime you pick something, the moment I pick this leaf, it's dead. And then the whole key is the processing. We have a commercial kitchen on our farm that is rather large, a certified commercial kitchen. We have a certified lab that's on our own farm. I don't know anybody else that has that. Everything is done in-house. We don't go to some big, warehouse. We're in Indiantown, Florida. The neat thing about Indiantown, Florida is Okeechobee is our neighbor. They've had so far 0 cases of the coronavirus. And the metropolitan areas are pretty hammered by it, but we're just pretty rural. When you're out here, you don't see many people, and that's in the times like this not a bad thing. Anyhow, I hope you learned a little bit about the blackberry leaf. It's an excellent thing. It's fun to harvest with the kids. It's a real recognizable plant, but everybody always goes after what this little baby is, and that's the when you have the berry. But everybody always misses this, and this to me is the real beneficial factor. People always talk about my tea bags. When I put them in, they said it's like sticks and stuff. And I say, well, it's a lot like rice. You can have white rice, but people at one time figured out that it was all the husk and everything on that dirty rust, the stuff they were throwing away that was truly beneficial to you. So that's why whenever you take something like this and you cut it or grind it or make it small where it fits in those commercial machines to make tea, because you have to do that. But whenever you do that, you chop something up, you take every little bit of benefit away from it each time. If I take this whole leaf and dry this whole leaf and put this whole leaf and maybe cut it once or twice and put this in a tea bag, and you go ahead and steep this, you're not losing anything. It's amazing. Anyhow, thanks guys.